Hello, good evening, morning, afternoon, where at whatever time it is that you're tuning into this, wherever you are. I hope you're having an amazing day. My name is Brooke Niswander, and welcome to Starstruck Parenting. This is episode 4. Today is entitled Be Your Child's Hero. And I wanted to talk today a little bit obviously about being your child's hero, but what happened in your life? Who was your hero? Can you remember? I had a superhero who I loved, Daredevil. I was really big into fantasy stuff. I love Star Wars, but my biggest hero, and I didn't know it when I was young, but when I got older, it was my mom. When I was young, I wanted I wanted to be like my stepdad, but I didn't ever measure up for him. And what happened is when my mom left him, he basically disowned me. Wanted me to change my last name and everything because we share the same last name, and so that really destroyed any desire for him to be my hero. Now that didn't stop me from wanting his approval for a really, 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 really long time. And part of that comes from not having a dad around. And when you have one in your life and then he's not there, you have that existential question of what's wrong with me, right? My real dad didn't want me, or so I thought. It's his loss. I know that now. But as a young boy, it's really, really hard to wrap your head around the idea that your parent doesn't want you, okay? Especially your dad, right? Like, what's wrong with me? If I was better, they would want me. If I was cuter, they would want me. If I had more talent, they would want me. If I was more skilled, they would want me. If I was stronger, they would want me. Really didn't matter, okay? Now, I understand, I was not my stepdad's child. And even though he was supposed to adopt me, he never did. So that bond wasn't there. Also, I was really, really, really close with my mom. And, you know, I didn't necessarily follow all the rules. I was not troubled, I was a troublesome child, okay? I got into mischief, I caused issues, I did all sorts of stupid shit, pardon my language, but I did. And so I can understand where he comes from now. But I can tell you for me, my son Justin, he's my middle child, 100% I'm his hero. Um, my daughter tonight, I was watching. I was involved in an online training uh, GoPro, and I was saying out loud, I'm like, I'm going to be on that stage one day, and she's like, I'm going to be on that stage one day too. So obviously, she wants to emulate dad. And then my oldest son, he's high functioning autistic, but he also, I am that male role model for him. And the reality is that I haven't been in the oldest or the youngest lives for that long. We're going on 3 years now. But what I have done is I've shown up consistently, authentically, and genuinely. Okay, I match my words and my deeds. And I think that's a really huge thing for us as parents, right? Is to have our deeds and our words match. When those things line up, when our kids know that what we say is going to be backed up with actions, it builds a massive level of trust. Even if what you say isn't what they want, right? Like if they know that if they step out of line, there's going to be this consequence and you follow through with that, they build trust that no matter what, your words and your actions are going to align. And it's super, super huge. I was listening to an audiobook, and I'm a big reader. I'm big on personal development, and I'm like to listen to audiobooks in my car. And I'm listening to Will Smith's autobiography, Will. If you haven't read it or listened to it, I highly suggest you pick it up. It was really good. Um, and I try to listen to people who are successful and have had good lives that maybe I can learn something from, right? And so he was talking to a counselor. He brings it up in the book, and the counselor is talking about how as far as women are concerned, if they can manipulate you, if they can bend you to their will, then they won't trust you as a man, because they need you to be strong. They need your yes to be a yes and your no to be a no. And I'm going to tell you, the opposite is true too. We need, as men, we need our woman to have conviction, to be strong in their stance, that a yes is a yes and it's followed through with action, right? If you tell me you're going to do something, I expect it to get done. And if it doesn't get done, maybe the first time it's like whatever, second time, third time, fourth time, when we get down the road, you tell me something and history has shown that you don't follow through, I can't have faith and trust that it's actually going to be done. And that's a tough position to be in for any man or woman. Now put a child in that position, and your child is they're growing, right? They're developing, they're becoming the young version of themselves as they grow and develop into, a preteen and then a teen and then a young adult, right? And so when they're very young, right, they trust us implicitly. And even if our words and our deeds aren't matching up, it doesn't register so much in their head. But as they get older, when our words and our deeds don't align, they start to go, is my dad full of shit? Is my mom full of crap? Right? And, this is what happens when they become young adults or teenagers and they get disillusioned and you stop being their hero, is when they go, oh, my dad's not anything special. He's just a person and he's fallible and he, is wrong as much as he's right, or he doesn't know what he's talking about. But the real big problem is when they go, I can't trust what he has to say. And when you add things like alcoholism, drug addiction, etc. into that mix, it causes some even bigger disconnects, okay? Like, I'm clean and sober today. When I first got sober, I really had a hard time being honest about anything. It didn't matter what it was. I had lied for such a long time as a survival mechanism, that I remember being in treatment facility, and I think I had a glass of orange juice in my hand, and somebody came up to me and they're like, "Oh, orange juice this morning." I'm like, "Nope, it's apple." I was like, "Well, wait a minute. I don't even know why I just said that." And I had to go through a period of time where I had to call myself out. I had to be like, I don't even know why I just lied to you. There was absolutely no reason for it. Obviously, it's orange juice. Or less obvious things I would say to somebody, and they wouldn't know that I had misrepresented myself or told an untruth, and I had to tell them myself so that I could get to a point where I could trust me. And I think that's one of the big problems as we grow up. If we are modeled behavior that is dishonest, right? A, we don't trust that person. B, we start to act out in that same behavior as young men and women. And if we get away with it, right? We get away with it a few times in a situation where we are facing some immediate consequences, and we lie and we get those immediate consequences are not there. What happens is that becomes a behavior that we believe will save us. And we start to use it more and more and more and more and more and more and more, right? My daughter's in that stage right now. And the problem is when we do that, we know we wouldn't trust somebody else doing that. So we get to a point where we don't trust ourselves. If we're not honest, even if they don't know that we're not being honest, we know we're not being honest. And so we lack the ability to trust ourselves. And if we can get that with our kids early on enough and nip that behavior in the butt and explain why it's a bad idea to do that, why treating other people the way we want to be treated is so important, why being honest and going through life as an honest, honorable person is so important when they're still learning. before that behavior has become ingrained, we will do them a massive service. When we let it go and we let it just continue, we are doing our children a massive disservice. Okay? Now, I did say this was about being your child's hero. And I believe the best way to be your child's hero is to align your words and your deeds, to show up authentically as you. And like I said, when I first got my son back into my life, that's when I realized that my mom had been my hero for so long. And my mom has a lot of flaws, okay? She's an alcoholic. She's got her issues. But one thing that I will always be grateful to her for is when we were kids, we didn't have a lot of money. Okay, well, she was an adult, obviously, but I was a kid and I had two sisters. And we were not well off. When she left my stepdad, she was pretty well destitute, single mom. But there was always a roof over her head. There was always clothes on her back. There was always food on the table. There was, we had a freezer full of salmon because she took care of the native chief on the island. And so, I got to the point where I hated eating salmon, but I was always fed. When I became a single dad and I realized the cost, right? Before I found network marketing, I was out working one job every single day, delivering pizza 3 or 4 nights a week, and then doing odd jobs just to be able to keep the lights on, the roof over our head, and the food on the table. And what was happening is I wasn't seeing my kid. I wasn't there. Other people were babysitting him. Netflix was watching him when I was home because I just didn't have the energy. And so that's why I can say that my mom was my hero. Now, there's been times when I have not seen eye to eye with my mom. When I was at the height of my addiction and my mom told me, you know what, if you ever need help, don't call me. I'm sure that was the hardest thing she ever had to do. And she was drinking at the time too. But that, looking back, was one of the very best things that ever happened to me. Because that kick in the ass got me to look at myself at least long enough to realize that at the time I was of absolutely no use to my son as a father in the condition that I was in, and go and get some help. So, everything, and I do mean everything, happens for us. There is not one thing that has ever happened to me in my life. At the time, I may have thought things were happening to me and railed against the world or God or the universe, whatever you want to call it. But in hindsight, everything that has ever happened in my life has happened for me. And I'm grateful for it. I just wish that I had better foresight to be able to see it happening in the moment and not live in negativity during that period of time. So, guys, I don't know if you're the single mom or dad that's just scraping by, or you're an experienced parent who has multiple kids, or you're dealing with your disabled child, or you've got foster kids, or you're contemplating having babies, or you've got teenagers and young adults living at home or moved out and couch surfing at your place still. I think that this can help everybody, and I want to thank you for watching this video. And if you haven't seen the earlier episodes, please go in and watch them. Leave me some comments so that I know what your feedback is. Comment on what you would like a video on, because I'm happy to broach any subject that may be of interest to you. I think that we can all be heroes to our children. And you don't need to wear a cape. You don't need a mask. All you really need to do is be unabashedly you. You're here for a reason. You had those kids for a reason. Even if you don't know what that reason is. They're looking to you for guidance. Now and always. You may be estranged. They may not like your behavior, right? And our kids don't go, Mom, Dad, I don't like the way that you're managing your money right now. So when I get older, I'm going to, make a lot of money and not have this problem. No, they go, no, it comes out more like, I hate you. When I get older, I'm going to be rich and everybody's going to love me. Slam. So in reality, we never know what our kids are going to need. We never know what the future is going to bring. But we do know that we are here to take care of them, to raise them to adulthood. And the purpose is to pass on what we have learned in our lives, to be mentors, to help them not have to go through the same mistakes and the same trials that we went through. And if you can save your child the pain that you went through, in my book, you're a hero. In the moment, they may not see you as such, but in hindsight, I'd be willing to bet large sums of money that they will. Thank you, and have an amazing day. Bye.